Thanks for watching the Cardinals Nest on HBC Channel 25. Dean Beckman along with Sports Information Director Donny Nadeau back with you again for another week to talk St. Mary's University Athletics, and later in the program we'll get to other campus events. Donny, later on in the show in the interview segment, women's hockey is already underway, and the first home game is Friday night, and so we'll welcome in later on in the program Tennie McCabe. Tennie is the new assistant coach this year, along with Dy-anna Stewart, one of the seniors who's been on the program before.
Yeah, it'll be fun to have them on, and obviously welcome back to you. You were gone for a week. Did you bring your permission slip that excused you from the show last week?
I did not, because I don't have a good excuse. But we're back this week.
It'll be fun to have Tennie on. I've known Tennie for quite a while as a player here, and now as an assistant coach, so it'll be fun to have her on. And Dy-anna, I actually coached her older brother Tom when he played for the men's program. So the Stewart family has been a part of St. Mary's for quite a while.
Yep. All right, so we'll bring them on later on in the program after two big wins. They'll go for win number 3 on Friday night. But before we get to that, volleyball has been a key story all fall long, of course, here on the Cardinals Nest. And Donny, things are really heating up now for the volleyball team. They played their first MIAC tournament match, so they get in the tournament and they take on St. Ben's, a team that they defeated earlier this season 3-1. Unfortunately, St. Ben's turns the table at St. Mary's University in the gym on Tuesday night, and it was St. Ben's coming away with that same 3-1 victory.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate turn of events that St. Mary's did not play their best match when they really needed it. Obviously, it was a great match, and hopefully, things will turn around. And right now, what has to happen is St. Mary's has to take a wait and see approach, in that they've got to wait and see if their 21-10 record is going to be good enough for an NCAA tournament berth or not. Right now they're at 21-10. They've got some tough losses to some nationally ranked teams. So it's just going to be a matter of if those 21 wins are enough to get them in. Obviously, Coach Lester would have liked a better performance on Tuesday night against St. Ben's, but as he said, you can only do what you can do, and obviously they picked a bad night to have one of their one of their off nights. So now we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, and this is a similar setup scenario to what happened a year ago, where the Cardinals get in the tournament, they lose the first round game, and still were able to get into that NCAA tournament. But as Coach Mike Lester says, there are no guarantees of that. It'll just depend how the rest of the teams fall out and where that leaves St. Mary's. And so much of that is all of it, of course, is out of his control, so that it's a difficult wait from now till Monday.
Right, and as I've talked to Coach Lester, one of the problems that they have right now is that they're ranked 6th in the region right now. Every team that's ahead of them in the region is a team that has beaten St. Mary's. Every team that's below them in the region is a team that St. Mary's has beaten. So it's going to really be one of those things that whether or not the people that are on the committee feel that St. Mary's is worthy. Obviously, I certainly feel that they're worthy of an NCAA tournament berth, but I don't get to vote and I don't have a say. So, as Mike said yesterday, they're just going to have to wait and see. They're going to keep practicing until Monday, and as Mike put it, they're going to keep practicing until somebody tells them they can't practice anymore. And so, it's a tough transition right now, because they've got to just wait and see. You look at some of those seniors, and is their career over? Is it not over? It's a tough situation. I know that it'll be a very hard week of practice, because you just don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what Monday's going to bring.
Well, and I like the attitude of getting them in practice, assuming that you're going to get in, and if they don't, then the season comes to an end, unfortunately. Will their performance in the NCAAs last year factor into it at all? They went down to Washington University, lost that first round matchup, but played very well, won one of the games there. Does that factor in, do you think, at all to the committee's decision?
No, I don't think so. I think it's supposed to be pretty much based on this season and this season alone. So it's going to depend. I mean, it's really hard. It's one of those things that you just don't know. I think had St. Mary's won Tuesday night and gotten into the semifinals of the conference tournament, I think that they probably would have pretty much solidified a spot in the NCAA tournament. the fact that they didn't, it's now going to be one of those things that they're just going to have to wait and see what what the committee thinks and whether or not their their record is worthy enough of getting an NCAA berth.
Yeah, and as we saw in the video and the graphics that were on the screen, Sarah Gardner had 19 kills on Tuesday night. Jessica Mate chipped in another great performance as well. She was in a lot of the video highlights. And Brittany Cherwinka, Lindsay Leggett leading the team with sets and digs again. So all of the players were there. Just St. Ben's, they were on fire on Tuesday night. So good luck to the volleyball team as they hopefully will get in, and we'll find out on Monday, and we'll report next week here on the Cardinals Nest the fate of the St. Mary's volleyball team. Moving on now, Donnie, to women's soccer. The Cardinals season comes to an end, and an unfortunate end, really, to what has been a pretty good season for the Cardinals women's soccer team. They lose the last matchup to St. Thomas by the score of 4-1, but not at all indicative of the season. And really, the record isn't as well. A 4-6-1 conference mark, 7-9-1 on the season. But I think we both feel they probably played 500 to a little better 500 soccer. It's just not showing up in the record.
Absolutely. And one of the things that you have to consider is, I know talking to Coach Zimmerman, that this year's schedule was much tougher than a schedule he's had in the past. And so, obviously, you look at that overall record, and it probably is. They're a better team this year than they were last year, even though last year they probably had more wins. I think the one thing that's going to really hurt Coach Zimmerman this year is losing Amy Sibick. Obviously, we talk about her every week, but she ends her career with 105 career points, which is she's just the sixth person all time to have 100 or more career points. So for St. Mary's to have to graduate a player of that standard, it's going to be tough to replace, and obviously it will be something that Coach Zimmerman's going to have to do, and he's going to need some of the other players that really have started to step forward this year. Sloan Kiramoto, Amanda Rahman, players like that that are going to really need to step up next year and fill that void, because obviously without Amy there, that go-to person to score goals for them, they're going to need to find somebody else to do that.
Yeah, no disagreement for me about the key loss of Amy Sibick. However, we said the same thing last year with Mariana Sanchez, and Cassie Hewlett more than stepped into her shoes pretty nicely.
Absolutely. Cassie had a phenomenal season, and she was second in the conference in shutouts with 7. She led the conference in saves with 95. So you get a player like that to step in, you're absolutely right. She certainly did a great job of filling in for Mariana Sanchez, and I wouldn't be surprised if Sloan or Amanda steps right in and fills that role of Amy. I think it's nice when you have a player like that, and the team can just kind of say, here, Amy, we'll get you the ball, you score the goals. Next year, somebody else will just have to fill into that role, and they certainly have the talent that one of those players can do that. It's just a matter of who's going to do it, and can they do it on such a consistent basis that Amy did.
Yeah, and of course, coaching at all levels is difficult, but I think that's one of the things that makes collegiate coaching so hard is these players graduate and they have to go.
Right.
There's no keeping
Absolutely.
them around. And so we'll be talking about Dy-anna Stewart the same way at the end of the hockey season, no doubt. And again, we'll have her on later on in the program. Donnie, men's soccer, their season comes to an end with a 3-1 loss to St. Thomas. It ended a disappointing season for Coach Dembeck's team. They did get a goal in this one, and those were hard to come by this year for the men.
Yeah, offensively they struggled all year, and I think the one bright spot there was Jermaine Venter. Had a great year. He had 5 goals on the year, and that obviously was a career high for him. So for him to score, be able to return next year, they'll have that goal scorer we were talking about, the women losing. And I think you're right. I mean, it became one of those years that they just couldn't seem to buy a goal. They went almost 4 straight games without scoring a goal toward the end of the season there. And obviously, no matter how good you play defensively, if you can't put the ball in the net, you're not going to win any games. And I think the more they struggled, the more they pressed, it seemed like the worse that it got for them. And hopefully Coach Dembeck can go out, find another couple players to fill in some holes that they need from the 3 graduating seniors that'll be gone next year, and move forward. I think that you talk to Chris or you talk to any of the players, this is going to be one of those seasons that are going to behind them and focus on next year and a good season, off season of training, and hopefully next year will be a better year.
Yeah, nice to see Chris Williams step up in goal. He had a nice end of the season for the men's soccer team. Let's go now, Donnie, to cross-country action, the MIAC Championships last weekend, and the men and the women pretty much fell where they expected to.
Yeah, and I think if you talk to Coach Barron, he was pretty happy with the way both teams ran. One of the big things for the men is the performance of David Feather. We've had David on this show in the past, and David was earned all conference honors by finishing 14th overall with a time of 26:37. That's the highest finish for a St. Mary's male runner ever. And, couldn't happen to a nicer guy. David's a great kid and had a really phenomenal season. And obviously, for him to be all-conference is a great honor for him and really a nice feather in the cap for Coach Barrington, the men's program. On the women's side, seniors kind of led the way, obviously, with Emily D being the first one across. And so for her, it was very nice. Brittany Keene had a good race. Danielle Miller had a solid showing. So they finished about where Coach Barrett figured they'd finish, but it was nice to see, one, it was nice to see David do as well as he did, and it was nice on the women's side to see the seniors be able to go out running a very solid race as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So a great conclusion to the season as the cross-country teams, I felt, really improving as the year went along, and that kind of showed there in the MIAC championships. Moving on now to winter sports, Donnie. Men's hockey got underway this past weekend in the MIAC Hockey Showcase, and a couple of losses in that first one. Kind of a disappointing 8-4 loss to Augsburg. Too many penalty minutes, obviously too many goals there. But then against a number 8 ranked Gustavus Adolphus team, it's a 2-1 loss, and Andy Scheib in goal, 33 saves. What a performance there. So while the weekend didn't begin the way they wanted it to, it certainly ended on a positive note.
Yeah, and I know Coach Moore is not real big on silver linings or moral victories or things like that, but you take away the first 6 minutes of the first game against Augsburg, and they technically lose 2 one-goal games. They gave up 3 goals in the first 6 minutes against Augsburg Saturday night, and anytime you're trying to dig out of a 3-0 hole against a team that's picked to be one of the top teams in the conference, that's very tough to do. They score 4 goals against that Augsburg team. They outshoot Augsburg nearly 2-1. And, as Coach Moore would say, if you score 4 goals and you outshoot your opponent, you should usually win the game. So he felt pretty good about how they played on Saturday, but he felt very good about how they played on Sunday. It was a phenomenal 2-1 game. Again, penalties proved to be costly because Davis's 2 goals were both power play goals. So, that's one of the things that obviously they need to work on and to shore up. But early in a season, special teams are usually one of the things that lags behind a little bit, just because you're probably putting in new systems or you're just working on different things, finding the right combinations. So that's one of the things that usually early on is one of the weak points, so to speak. But I know he felt really good about the way they played. It was a fantastic game, and you're right. Andy Scheib played awesome in goal, and they're going to need that. He and Jason Horstman are going to have to come up big and play solid in goal. They can do that. They've got a lot of players now that proven that they can score goals. They score 6 goals on the weekend. That's, averaging 3 goals a game is a good thing. When you have Andy and Jason back there, 3 goals is going to win you a lot of games. So, hopefully that'll continue, and they open up their home season Thursday against UW Stout, and then they have Friday off. They'll watch the women play at home on Friday night, and then they're at home on Saturday in a non-conference game against St. Olaf. So they get to return home now for a stretch here, and hopefully the home crowd will give them some added boost, and they can get that first win on Thursday night.
Yeah, and Stout, I remember a year ago, they're a good team, but they did graduate a number of players, so we'll see how the Cardinals do there. And then already the conference opener right away with St. Olaf, so that's going to be a tough one right out of the chute. Now, last weekend, those were not technically conference games.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Yeah, they were non-conference games. Every team in the conference played 2 games against 2 other conference opponents. Just kind of a beginning to the season, a chance to kind of get a couple games under your belt. And it really, what they did is that they picked up off of the Thanksgiving tournament, which the MIAC used to host over Thanksgiving weekend. They dropped it probably about 10 years ago, and then they resurrected it in this MIAC showcase format to begin the year rather than over Thanksgiving holidays. So it's really a lot of fun, and you get a little chance to see what the rest of the conference has. I mean, I think these coaches all know what everybody in the conference has, but it's a good chance for them to get to see what everybody has and kind of a little preview of what's in stake the rest of the year.
All right, coming up next here on the Cardinals Nest, we'll bring in Tennie McCabe and Dy-anna Stewart from the women's hockey team. That's next here on HBC Channel 25.
Hey, I'm Buddha, inviting you to join me for a brand new show here on HBC TV 25 called Real Attractions. We'll show you trailers from the latest movies to hit theaters and also what's being released on DVD that week. Plus, you have a chance to win free movies by registering at my.hbci.com/realattractions. But you gotta watch to win. So check out Real Attractions here on HBC TV 25, hosted by yours truly, which is why we didn't call it Real Attractive.
This is our Saturday.
Our pride.
Our history.
This is our axe.
No, this is our axe.
This is our true color.
This is our halftime.
This is our tradition.
Our nation.
This is our time.
Our big house.
This is Big Ten football.
Sometimes life isn't about doing the popular thing or even the cost-effective thing. Many times it's simply about doing the right thing. When HBC did not receive the grant needed to construct a network in Minneska, we were disappointed. But we immediately went to the drawing board, and we are going to be delivering what we promised. Sometimes it's all about making the right decision. So welcome, Minneska.
Back here on the Cardinals Nest, and we bring in Tennie McCabe, the assistant coach, for head coach Terry Manor, and also Dy-anna Stewart, a senior this year. Now, Dy-anna, you were on the program last year with Coach Manor, so welcome back to the show. Tennie, this is your first time on the show, so we'll get some information on you in just a little bit. But Dy-anna, why don't you remind us again where you're from and how you ended up at St. Mary's? Of course, Donnie's already mentioned that your brother Tom played for the men's hockey team.
Well, I transferred in here as a sophomore. I'm originally from Eden Prairie, Minnesota, and I came here to play for Terry. I came to hockey camp here for years and just fell in love with the area, the school, and Terry as a coach as well.
Now, off camera earlier, you were admitting that this senior year has come faster than expected, right?
Definitely. It feels like just yesterday I was graduating high school and heading off to college. So
yeah, it goes fast. And I know for younger people out there listening, you always hear that, but Dy-anna can attest it really is that fast. Tennie, tell us a little bit more about you. You, of course, played for the women's hockey team at one time, so maybe take us through your hockey career, how you ended up at St. Mary's and now as the assistant coach here.
Sure. Well, I'm originally from Rochester, and like Di, I attended the hockey camp back in the 90s when it was just kind of getting started, and I absolutely fell in love with Winona, and I had the opportunity to attend school at St. Mary's, and so I played between 2000 and 2004.
She was the player of the year, MIAC. I knew she wouldn't say that.
Yes, and yeah, my freshman year we placed third at the national tournament. That's probably the best memory I have of my time playing for the hockey program. And in 2004, graduated and moved on, and I moved to New Zealand for 3 years, and I was a teacher there. But something was missing from my life, and that was hockey. So I came back to the States, and I called Coach Manor up, and he had a position open. And so this is my 4th year with the team, and my 1st year as the first assistant.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's great to have you in that role, and Dy-anna, great to have you back here for your senior season. And you're already off to a 2-0 start. Dy-anna, what are the expectations from the team standpoint? A number of terrific returning players, obviously some good freshmen. They've been doing a lot of the scoring so far. So I would guess in the locker room there has to be a lot of excitement about expectations for this year.
Definitely. We have a lot of expectations, especially to live up to from last season, making it to playoffs and all. But I don't know, I guess we're not really looking to one person this year to take on the role of scoring or anything. We look to the whole team as a whole. We're all a really good unit.
Tennie, talk about those first 2 wins. What are the coaches seeing through those first 2 wins, and what are your expectations for this team?
Well, it's always great to start the season off with 2 wins. You know, in fact, I can't remember the last time I think our program started with 2 wins.
I can.
It's been a very long time.
The year before Coach Manor started, so
Yep.
it's been 7 years.
Well, 7 years, yeah. And you know, it was great. It was a great place to start because every season you have to start somewhere, and I don't think as coaches we could have asked for a better place to start. Now, of course, we have a lot of work to do if we want to continue our success. But we were able to find the back of the net, and we were able to keep the puck out. And I think when you put those two things together, you'll find success. So
you know, obviously, Tennie, as you talk about defensively, sorry, Dy, I'm going to single you out a little bit here.
Okay.
Two-time all-conference defenseman and Dy leading the defensive people, plus you've got an all-conference goalie in Kay. It's got to make it a little bit easier as a coaching staff when you have that kind of leadership and that kind of experience coming back.
Oh, definitely. No, it really puts a lot more confidence in the defensive aspect of our game, which then I think allows us to be more offensive, which I think really came out in Saturday's game against St. Norbert with our 2-1 win. We were very confident in the defensive zone. We made a lot of great defensive plays, which then turned into offensive opportunities and led to our goals. So it's something that, you know, having players like Dy and Kay, the all-conference goalie, and a lot of very talented freshmen on the defense, that really helps that confidence in our D.
And offensively, obviously, Aaron Stenseth had a goal in each game, which is great as a returner. But you got a lot of scoring from some of your freshmen. Dy, how much does that help you guys when it's the younger people that are actually stepping up from day one and kind of taking some of that load as from the offensive side?
It helps us a lot. It gives us a lot of confidence in them. It's hard to know exactly from practice where girls are going to end up or who's going to be the scorers. But it helps knowing that we have players on our team who can take on the role of putting the puck in the net when we need it most.
Tennie, of course, you would have recruited a lot of the freshmen that are on the team. Was there any surprise at all that they have, you know, hit the ice this quickly here and are already contributing as much as they are? Was that the expectations of them coming in?
Yeah, well, the expectations of them was, you know, to do what they have done, but I don't think we expected it to be this quickly or this fast. You know, especially in the first game, winning 5-0. I think that was a huge morale boost for everybody and also a big confidence boost in our freshmen as well, because we have 15, I believe it's 15 new players, and that's a lot. And so, you know, you can take what you know about them coming in, but to actually see them perform the way you wanted them to from the opening game, it's a great thing.
You know, speaking of recruiting, you probably have recruited the person from the farthest away, probably in the history of St. Mary's hockey. Talk a little bit about bringing Cherie Hasselmore here from New Zealand.
Yeah, you know, Cherie was one of those players that I got to work with in New Zealand that I just knew there was something special about her, that she was going to be a good college hockey player. And so taking her through that whole process was definitely an experience in itself, just because it's everything that you have to do just for a visa to come into the country to stay, let alone loans and travel and all that for coming to school. So that was definitely an interesting experience, and one I hope to repeat again with other players as well.
Dy, was such a young team, you know, like Tennie said, you got 15 new faces there. As one of the seniors, as one of the captains, what's your role in making sure that they're involved in everything that goes on?
I don't know. I guess like as a program, we've always never really played as having grades or being on a different level than anyone. I think what we do a good job of is keeping everybody on the same level playing field and everyone's equal. And so there isn't one person who has to step up and be the leader on the team. We all play a factor in that.
Tennie, I want to ask you in just a minute about Eau Claire, who you'll face in the first home matchup on Friday night. But it's rare that we actually get to have an assistant coach on. It's normally the head coach. So I'm curious to know, how does Coach Manor delegate duties to you? What, where do you split in duties, and what specifically are your roles with the team?
She has to do the interviews.
Yeah, I can interviews.
Well, we know one. Right
and he's probably watching, so I better be nice in what I say. No, we share, you know, everything, and we each have our own strengths and weaknesses in our abilities as coaches, and so we each kind of take on our strengths, and and our weaknesses are kind of you know, swallowed up by the other. And you know, looking to the team this year, it's been with 15 new faces. It's definitely been a challenge for us, but you know, looking towards Eau Claire, we're very excited because we have come off with 2 good wins. It's been a good morale boost. And Eau Claire is the type of team that we always seem to split with, or you know, tie, or it just comes down to a 1-goal game in the last 10 minutes of the game. And so we're hoping to change that this weekend and come away with a sweep.
Yeah, there we see on the screen there a 7 p.m. start against Eau Claire. Then, of course, the next day you'll go to Eau Claire for a 7 o'clock matchup. And even though it's a non-conference team, as you said, the Blue Gold's an opponent that you're both familiar with. Di, what do you remember about them from last year?
I remember we played them the last 2 years to start off the season usually, and their ability-wise is very close to us. They're an extremely hard-working team, and so are we. So they put up a good fight, and it's always been one of my most fun series to remember.
So, all right, well, good luck here this upcoming season. Friday night, of course, is the home opener, and then you'll get underway with conferences soon after. So good luck, Dy-anna Stewart and Tennie McCabe. Thanks for being on the program.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, stay tuned. Donny and I will be back to tell you about some other campus events, both some that have occurred and others that are still upcoming. That's next here on the St. Mary's University Cardinals Nest on HBC.
Nothing gets you ready for game day like Vikings Game Plan. Every Sunday, join host Paul Allen along with head coach Brad Childress as they break down the X's and O's. Plus, log on to foxsportsnorth.com and click on the Vikings tab for even more Vikings content. We are your headquarters for the Vikings, Sundays at 10:30 and online all the time. We are Fox Sports North.
Wouldn't it be nice if there was a mobile phone company where you could actually get great customer service? Well, the wait is over. Full mobile phone service is now available at HBC. With plans starting as low as $40 a month on the nation's largest coverage map, HBC Mobile has a plan for everyone. Individual, family, data, they're all available. And they all come with the personal customer service you've come to expect from HBC. Stop in today at 58 Johnson Street, Winona to see how you can get a free phone. HBC Mobile. Service you can trust.
And we're back here to wrap things up on the Cardinals Nest. Dean Beckman and Donny Nadeau. And one thing coming up very shortly here at St. Mary's on November 11th, that's already next Thursday, economics editor for Marketplace Money, American Public Media's nationally syndicated public radio personal finance program, Chris Farrell, is going to speak to audiences about the new frugality. That'll be at St. Mary's on November 11th at Page Theater. It is free, it is open to the public, and it starts at 4 p.m. Farrell will discuss highlights of his latest book, and that'll be followed by a question and answer period and also a book signing in the lobby of the Performance Center. Again, that's next Thursday, November 11th, 4 p.m. That is free and open to the public. Also, 28 sixth graders from the San Miguel School in Chicago were on the Winona campus October 25th through the 28th. The goals of the annual campus visit are to get these children acquainted with college life and begin to inspire them to consider post-secondary education. I had a chance, Donny, to host 2 of the children. They're absolutely delightful, and it was great to have all of them on the St. Mary's campus. Also, in recognition of Make a Difference Day, about 285 St. Mary's students volunteered at various locations around the community, and there you see a picture of one of those places. And finally, the big trick-or-treating event was held on Monday, October 25th, and this year a record-setting 750 trick-or-treaters took part. So thanks to all of the families who brought kids out for that event. That's going to do it for the Cardinals Nest this week here on HBC Channel 25. Tune in again next week for another Cardinals Nest right here on HBC.